Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Marissa. If you are new here, your favorite problematic housewife. Today, we're going to be talking about your favorite hypocrite, Apoc. He decided to do a little video about me because his panties were in a big bunch. Because I criticized him for sitting in a shed all day making fun of mommy vloggers. It's really pathetic. Before we get real into it, I want to show you what my husband Dean, hack of all trades, thinks of men obsessing over women's drama in the mommy vlogger community.
What's going on, YouTube? So I thought I would take a little time out of my busy day and address a couple of people on YouTube of the male variety. The guys that are involved in the mommy vlogger community and the women's drama community. That's who I'll be addressing in this video. Please go get your estrogen levels checked and ask your doctor to prescribe you injectable testosterone. Thank you.
He didn't like my criticism, so he decided to expose me and do a whole video with recycled, regurgitated stuff that has already been put out. And when I say already put out, I mean multiple creators did videos between 7 and 9 months ago on this situation. And of course, like all the bitter, salty haters love to do, every 3 months, bring up my husband, who I want to add is sober now for 10 months and doing amazing, and I love him so much. Wanted to show a bunch of old stuff from Dean, prove I'm a hypocrite because somehow I'm to be blamed for my husband. Talk about misogyny. Like, we're in 2022, dude. Stop living in Handmaid's Tale. But I have nothing to say to that video. I've already aired my dirty laundry. I've already talked about it. I literally just talked about blackface and the Gabby Petito situation on my channel when I did my video about DCP and our DMs. So Apoc's lying that he didn't know. I feel like Apoc was also being very manipulative when he reacted to that video of mine, because that video was 8 months ago, and since then I have addressed and acknowledged my husband's mistakes many times. He has apologized and he quit drinking and is working on his sobriety. Most of my conversation with Josh was him trying to use my husband against me and saying that he was going to tell everybody, not knowing that it already had been put out. Sounds familiar, doesn't it? And I talk about it quite often, but what I do want to do today is show what Apoc has been doing on his channel. I thought his biggest issue was dragging mommy vloggers. Boy, was I surprised what I found on his channel. And I would like to add that Apoc said a year is not long enough to let go of something and not have to talk about it. So here we go. This is probably just going to be part 1 because this is enough already. This was literally found within like 5 minutes of going through his channel. And it is riddled with misogyny, transphobia, racism, all of the things. So he has some balls coming at me and trying to bring my husband into this. And I don't want to hear from Apoc, oh, I've changed. You're bringing up old crap. Well, you're bringing up my old crap. And you didn't like when Dad Challenge Podcast brought up your old crap. And I would also like to add, this stuff is still on his channel. It's still public. If he really changed his way of thinking, he would have taken all these videos down. My husband deleted all the nasty videos off of his channel. Apoc's is still there. And let's also add that Apoc has only apologized for look shaming people, but there is so much more. But you know, my husband's not sitting home all day trying to make money off of mommy vlogger. So he's not really worried about keeping videos on his channel to make money because he doesn't harass mommy vloggers for a living. I also want to put a disclaimer out there that I had no intention to go back into Apoc's channel, because my issues with him started out with things he's doing right now, like accusing a woman of lying about her infertility and miscarriages. accusing Jess Fam of pimping her daughter out online with no proof and intentionally posting her daughter with no clothes on and just constantly bullying and harassing mommy vloggers. But since he wants to talk about my husband, the blackface stuff was in 2020. My husband actually removed that video and apologized in 2020, but a troll re-uploaded it a year later. And that's the channel that was doxing my husband and using that video. And that is the channel that Josh and others were spreading around. Since Apoc wants to bring up things from 2020, well, fair is fair, and that's why I'm talking about this content. So I wanted to put a disclaimer out there that I am doing this part 1 video for context to get in the mind of Apoc and show everyone how Apoc thinks and how he's a hypocrite for coming at me over my husband when he has this stuff on his channel. And this is only the tip of the iceberg, you guys. Do I think he needs to be canceled forever? No, but I think he should stop coming at me for my husband, that's for sure.
Going to talk about Twitch's recent hire for their Safety Advisory Council or whatever the fuck it is. And no, I won't be talking about people who have PhDs, doctorates, and own goddamn fucking anti-bullying research centers. That wouldn't be entertaining. Actually, I'm not talking about a human at all. Apparently, we're dealing with fucking Bambi. Well, furiously stuff or...
So a transgender gamer woman is not a human? Interesting.
Ferociously stuff, whatever the fuck your name is. If you want to pretend to be a deer, then I'm gonna treat you like a deer. And it's hunting season. Now I know there might be some SJWs or some keyboard warrior veterans or whatever the fuck to pop on my channel and light me up.
Apoc's making fun of the trans community. He hates the LGBTQ and women. He's misogynistic and sexist. Cancel this Nazi and his hate speech.
Now before...
So this clown is literally saying he was going to hunt a transgender woman. I mean, he's just being extremely misogynistic and gross at this point. And this video was in 2020. Remember the comment that 10 years is not even enough time to get over something and not talk about it. Twitch made an advisory safety council, and a transgender woman was put a part of this council, and that is an amazing thing. That's a big deal. And for Apoc to just dismiss that and act like this woman's crazy for saying that gamers are white supremacists, it's actually been proven. Everybody from the gaming community knows it is riddled with misogyny, and there are a lot of white supremacists in that community that literally prey on children to try to get them to join. It's not some crazy outlandish idea. And it's also interesting, and it's really funny how he's making a joke about, you know, the woke culture, the SJWs are going to be coming for him. Talk about hypocrisy. He literally just did an entire video virtue signaling, trying to cancel me through my husband when it wasn't even me saying this shit. And here he is on his channel doing all of this and making fun of, you know, woke culture, which I don't really love woke culture either, but I also think anti-woke culture is a problem. But it's just really ironic that he's sitting on his channel now being an SJW when he was just making fun of them. And you don't need to be an SJW to know that this stuff that he was putting out was just gross. And he's a huge hypocrite. You know why? Because he's calling me out for my husband when he is doing this stuff. I am talking about people. I am not doing any of this. He's literally trying to use my husband against me because he has nothing on me. Nothing.
Or moving forward, I just want to state, I don't give a flying fuck if you're gay. I don't give a flying fuck if you're a different color than me. None of that shit matters to me. You can be in goddamn transition. I don't care. We're all people and we all say and do stupid ass shit.
This is a total cop-out. Apoc claims that he doesn't care. Everybody's equal. It doesn't matter if you're trans or anything like that. But everyone that he calls out that's not a family vlogger, he's talking about them being transgender, them being black, and all of them, these marginalized groups, and how they advocate for their communities. So you cannot sit there and say that you are not racist or transgender or any of these things when you are calling people out when they are advocating for their community. You don't get to say how they advocate. Okay? And he also makes a ton of jokes about, oh, white privilege. I don't have an opinion. Dude, this is insane.
But just because you're part of a certain community doesn't mean I'm not gonna light your ass on fire. But what I do truly give a fuck about is that this new member to this council that's supposed to be there for safety for the platform to prevent toxicity is literally bringing toxicity to the platform in a big fucking way. They went on this like crazy power trip talking about how all gamers are, we're all white supremacists. But if you want to make money being a streamer, you need to provide any sort of form of entertainment. Now, I know this is coming from a white cis male, so, my opinion apparently matters more than yours. I mean, I'm just trying to whip out my fucking privilege or whatever, because apparently I have privilege that other people don't have. But that's just...
He constantly makes jokes about him being a white cis male and his privilege that he doesn't think he has. Sounds really familiar, doesn't it? Kind of sounds like Josh.
It's just basic common sense that streamers seem to lack. Maybe do something besides just sitting there because you're pretty. Quit relying on a possible nip slip to boost your channel.
Sexism and misogyny at its finest, people.
Ferociously staff or periodically. I don't know what her name is. Let's just talk about this goddamn marginalized gamer. Since her debut playing what is fuck I don't know what the fuck this says. I don't know. Okay. Heroes of the Storm 2016. I guess she was one of the first transgender streamers to be partnered on Twitch. Oh, okay. What the fucking do? Who fucking cares? Does anybody really give a shit that she's transgender? Nobody cares. As long
Wow. That's really dismissive and gross. It's actually a huge deal that she was the first transgender woman to be partnered with Twitch. And for him to invalidate that and mock that to try to humiliate her is really gross.
As long as the person's not being toxic, in which that ship is sailed, then who really gives a fuck what you are? Black, white, brown, alien, interspecies, nobody cares. Twitch probably just partnered Steph because she's transgender. Honestly, she's the diversity hire for this safety council bullshit, but
wow, just wow. Like, this dude better not come for my husband ever again.
But why? Is it like a transgender awareness thing? We know they exist and nobody cares. Live your life. Why is it these groups such as the LGBTQ, why is it that every fucking fart they do or anywhere they step, why is it always overblown? If I accomplish the same shit, such as like first fucking balding white male to be partnered on Twitch, would I be celebrated? No. In fact, I would be called out on my so-called white privilege, and then if I dispute it, I would be called a bigot. Oh, and by the way, I'm not bald. I have clear hair. Me here brought the first transgender pride flag to the platform. Again, like, okay. Well, geez, I'm glad this happened. I was about to start burning down whole communities and shit if this transgender pride flag wasn't integrated on Twitch. I don't know what I would have done. For a fight, a streamer that's marginalized. Name one. You have like FaZe Ewok, who is, yeah, she's white, but she's a young female gamer who's incredible at Fortnite. But she's also deaf. So she's female and she's deaf. Now, she would fall into that marginalized group. So she has a career now because of Tim the Tatman and all these other people. How is that marginalized? And she fits the bill for that group. So what the fuck is Steph going on about marginalized gaming?
I said a lot of people with cis white male sounding voices are here telling me that voice chat isn't a problem, and that is a fact. Y'all have voices that aren't marginalized coming in and saying, just mute, it's not an issue. Everyone faces harassment. I've heard it all. You're just repeating my several, like,
I'm surprised that Seth didn't continue with more bullshit such as
being able to communicate in video games is homophobic, misogynistic, and inherently racist.
These are the kind of people that would not survive an Xbox game chat back in the day.
I will feather you.
You'll feather me. Is that some kind of new queer term for tickle?
Look, if you don't want to deal with being harassed, that's fine. That's not a problem. But it's just as simple as muting yourself. That's it.
Dude, this dude is a freaking clown. He's a clown. The whole point is transgender women and marginalized people should not have to mute. Oh, so because you don't want to be harassed, they should have to mute and not participate in voice chat? Hello? That's the whole problem. Is he stupid? And to make fun of her over this, and he's completely ignoring the misogyny and all of the issues in the gaming community that we all know about. I'm not a gamer and I know about them. This is so ridiculous, you guys. Not to mention, this woman was harassed and doxxed and bullied because she was speaking out about the white supremacist issue in the gaming community. And he's just completely dismissing it, acting like she's crazy and trying to humiliate her.
That's all it takes. Plus, another way to avoid being harassed is to not have a clip of yourself online on Twitch having a goddamn deergasm.
Here's more of the misogyny coming out of Apoc. I'm telling you guys, this is not just a mistake. This is how he thinks. So if a woman wears a short skirt, is it her fault if she gets assaulted? People, the way to avoid being assaulted is to not go out at night and wear short skirts. Don't you know that? The victim blaming mentality of Apoc is shocking and disturbing.
People, straight white men. Aside from this racism from straight white men, which is pretty fucking ironic because if you guys haven't noticed, Steph is white. Pretty fucking white. I mean, this is some Casper the Friendly Ghost shit right here.
Brace yourself for terror.
But one of the bigger...
This is pretty hypocritical in my opinion because he's saying she's a white woman, so she should not be talking about racism and issues with people of color. Yet he's telling her how she should feel, a transgender woman. So Apoc, a white cis male, can tell other marginalized groups how they feel, yet he's condemning other white people for telling them how they should feel. Okay, talk about hypocrisy. And do I think people who are not from a certain community should tell other people from that community how they feel? No, and that has been a problem on social media. You know, a white person will try to tell a black person hey, you are being discriminated against or something like that. And the black person will say, no, I don't feel like that. Obviously you shouldn't do that, right? And I think that's what Apoc is getting at. But Apoc also is telling these marginalized people how they should feel. So he's doing the same thing.
Bigger problems that people seem to have, and I have it too, is that weird fucking power trip she had.
But I'm hanging in there, and I'm not going anywhere. I have power. They can't take it away from me. And honestly, there are some people that should be afraid of me, and that they are, because I represent moderation and diversity, and I'm gonna come for hurtful, harmful people. If you're a really shitty person, I'm gonna stand up against you. Period. And Twitch is endorsing me to do that, so.
Steph, nobody's fucking afraid of you. Nobody.
It's not even the fact that this guy is disgusting and a hypocrite. He's a dumbass. He has no idea what he's even talking about. If he did a little research and took some time to educate himself, he would know that members of the LGBTQ community are constantly harassed and bullied on Twitch and in the gaming community. It is a problem. And he's dismissing that and invalidating that.
Nobody gives a fuck that you're the diversity hire. Nobody gives two shits and a fuck that you're transgendered. Nobody cares. What everybody is bitching about is that Steph is obviously the perfect example of somebody who would abuse their power. Who will...
She was literally trying to advocate for the LGBTQ community who get bullied and harassed and degraded and just treated horribly in the gaming community. Women in general get treated horribly in the gaming community, but if you are transgendered, you are especially treated like shit. And they put her on there to advocate and help with that, and that's a big deal. And Apoc is just being really gross about it and making fun of her actually being transgender.
will target groups of people they deem toxic, and that spectrum can go anywhere. There's no barriers, and it's biased. What if somebody just has a different opinion than you? What if someone has a different viewpoint? This could betray just because you voted for a certain president. It's kind of like how the far left, which obviously Steph is a part of, how they want to ban hate speech, even though they scream hate speech all the time. I mean, Steph's here is calling all gamers white supremacists. Anyways, they want to ban hate speech.
Is Apoc saying where he stands politically with that one?
And the biggest issue with that is who decides what dictates or what qualifies as hate speech? If you ban someone from saying a certain something, where does that line stop? You could say that there's only two genders, which someone did get banned for on Twitch, but eventually you never know. That either can become a fine or that can either become imprisonment.
This is just absolutely hilarious to me. The fact that he's sitting here advocating for free speech and saying nobody has a right to say what hate speech is. Then what was that video he just did about my husband? He's advocating for free speech, yet... So that just goes to show you that he's just trying to use my husband because he's pissed at me. He has nothing on me, so he has to go to Dean. He has to show the stuff of Dean, knowing people will be outraged. It's very manipulative. When this stuff is on his channel, you guys, clearly he is all for free speech and doesn't believe in racism and white privilege, obviously.
None of this will end well. The Safety Advisory Council is supposed to be a group of people to help Twitch stop from becoming even more toxic than it already is. But one of the members is a racist against white people who identifies as a fucking goddamn deer who goes out and eats grass to fill her inner fucking deer self. Then goes on a power trip and states that all people should be afraid of her because they have power. Honestly, I really don't know what else to say.
Dude, the more I see of his channel, I am seriously shocked that he had the balls to make a video about me, trying to use my husband's behavior to call me out, when this is the kind of stuff that he was putting out there on his channel, and it's still there. And this is only one video. I'm going to show you guys 3 examples today, and there are way more. The problem is... he's constantly mocking, the white privilege. Oh, she's racist against white people. Give me a break. And he can say all day that he's equal and he believes everybody's equal and it doesn't matter. Yet, every person that he calls out, he is making fun of their advocacy. He isn't calling out someone's problematic behavior that happens to be a transgender woman. No, he is using her being transgendered, mocking it and degrading and dragging her for how she advocates for her community. I'm sorry. As a straight white man, Apoc has no right to tell this woman how she advocates and tries to help her community. He doesn't, and he does this a lot, and this is the main issue. Again, it's hilarious. He has this stuff on his channel about calling everyone racist and that they have white privilege. And he's literally in his comments calling me a racist because who I'm married to. Not even because of something I did, but because of who I'm married to. So he's being a total, quote unquote, woke social justice warrior by calling me a racist. The hypocrisy is just comical, you guys. If Apoc wants to talk about Dean and his problematic behavior, go ahead. That's not my problem. I am friendly with many people who have called out Dean. Commentary with Kelly, Erica Moniz, Welsh Rose. There are many people that have called out Dean that I like a lot, but Apoc was going too low. He was being disgusting, now making fun of my husband's sobriety, which is just absolutely gross. He was so manipulative in his video because he, one, did not tell anybody my husband was sober. He didn't tell anybody my husband apologized. In 2020, my husband removed that video and apologized. In 2020, he did that. He also recently apologized for the comment about the kid, which, of course, Apoc also left out that the man was harassing and terrorizing us for months and said he was going to send Hell's Angels to come kill our children.
them. Which is funny because none of these people who are going on about slavery today are and were never slaves at all. But if you dialogue with them, you would think the opposite of that. You would think that they were the ones being kidnapped, raped, and murdered. Yet they're here free to do as they please. Now, I know a lot of this sounds kind of crazy, but I've actually been educating myself on the matter, and I'm actually quite interested in trying to figure out how anyone can fall for this bullshit.
Wow. Just wow. I mean, that clip speaks for itself, doesn't it? This next one is about when Mr. Beast was getting called out for making the transgender joke or the LGBTQ joke of how many genders there are now, and everybody's just making up genders. So this is what Apoc thought about that. It's very interesting, and I hope you guys are starting to see a pattern here.
In fact, Mr. Beast could make the joke now in 2020 and it still wouldn't really matter. The only difference is, back in 2016, the joke was used to over-exaggerate the gender thing, since people were basically making up genders willy-nilly. But now there's a damn deer girl on the Twitch Safety Council. This over-exaggerated gender joke is more relevant than ever.
Do you guys see what I'm talking about? There's a pattern here. The kind of content he was doing before he realized that making money off of moms on the internet was more profitable. All of his content was about being anti-woke. Everyone's a social justice warrior. Everyone's calling people racist, and he has no white privilege. I mean, it's pretty clear what he thinks and how he thinks. So again, the point of this video is to show how hypocritical he is when he thinks this way and has all this stuff on his channel. He's calling out my husband, and not only calling out my husband, trying to cancel me because of my husband and the things my husband has said, when clearly he is anti-woke.
Trans person here definitely sounds offensive and transphobic. Glad he deleted the vid. It's a joke, yes, but a trans joke from cis people, it sounds awful. A joke like this from another trans person would be hilarious.
So let me get this straight here. If a trans person used the same exact joke with the same exact context, it would be just hilarious, funny as hell. But because it was from a straight person, actually, hold up, better yet, because it was from a straight white male, you know, we gotta get all that in there. But because it was from that, it's transphobic. Oh my god. Okay. One of the only...
Yes, Apoc, because if people from their own community want to make jokes to each other and make comedy out of things that they're dealing with, they're allowed to do that. But guess what, Apoc? You are not allowed to do that. And I don't know why you have such a problem with that. Again... It just goes to show you that Apoc is just trying to get back at me. He doesn't actually care about the stuff he's talking about. He is just trying to get back at me, and he has a personal vendetta against me because based on all of this content, he doesn't even care about the issues he's claiming to.
Things I really can't stand when it comes to the LGBTQ community isn't the gay part. I don't care. Suck a dick, eat a pussy, you're good, man. I don't care. But you can never just joke with them. They can bash white people or straight people all they want, which that seems to be the theme in America today. But the LGBTQ wants everyone to walk on eggshells around them and powder their little assholes, which is kind of ironic because they scream for equality, but when they get a taste of it, they get all triggered and fragile. Kind of like when a woman hits a man over and over and over again, and when he's had enough of that shit, he drops her ass. And I'm not even talking about like beating her ass. I'm just talking about like a slap. But after the woman's like viciously hitting the guy, and then the guy's like, all right, enough, and he slaps her, they're all like,
Oh my god, you hit a woman. She just punched you 6 times in the face, but oh my god, you're a woman abuser. Somebody arrest him.
and just because you're in a special group, that
Whoa. This dude is seriously disturbed. Now he's condoning a man hitting a woman. Even if a woman is hitting you, get out of there. You don't hit her back. How about you leave and call the cops? This dude is fucking deranged. Condoning domestic violence against women. Nice.
really isn't that special at all. Doesn't mean you get special treatment and immunity from criticisms and jokes. I just find it funny that people who just want to be treated like everyone else also wants to be treated like they're one of the great wonders of the world, when in fact we are all shitheads. Okay,
It's always really funny to me because it's always these dudes that claim everyone's a snowflake. Everyone is so sensitive. Everyone takes things too seriously. Who literally is getting upset when he's called racist or that he has white privilege or white cis male. He's clearly triggered by that because he brings it up all the time. If you want people to get over it and stop being so sensitive, then you can't get your panties in a bunch when you are called things. Again, the guy is a walking contradiction and full of hypocrisy, and he's one of the biggest snowflakes on the internet because he cries at any criticism.
And everyone, it's your favorite jealous hater Apoc. So, I threw up a poll on my community tab the other day for all you cuties to vote on, and the Prince family did even place top 3, which I found kinda racist. So, because of my white guilt, I need to talk about their oppression. Kinda like Chelsea Handler did when she had to remind 50 Cent that he was a black man.
You heard about my ex-boyfriend, right?
It's really strange how much he brings up white privilege and white guilt and white cis male. Very interesting.
Or at least a little human. Cancer is not a joke, but you know what is? Those fake ass fat ass lips that make you look like you got stung by a horde of bees, which was in your control, and it makes you look fucking stupid.
So pathetic can you be? You're fat, you're ugly.
It's really interesting that Apoc always has to resort to nasty below the belt insults, and he didn't stop doing this. He literally said, Dean only married me because he was the only one who would have me. He is constantly saying nasty insults like that, and which are not necessary. Like, what do you care what she does with her lips?
Now, I know I'm just a simple Chad who calls out bullshit-ass YouTubers for fun, and I know there's a lot of fetuses out there defending them, but look, even if you are a naive fetus, since that's just full of little fetuses who will bow and scrape for them. There's a picture of Shane when he was like a 3-month-old fetus, or maybe it was a year, whatever, but instead of actually going to do it, Karen rather get affirmations from random 14-year-old fetuses online. Of course the fetuses will forgive you, and to all the little itty-bitty fetuses out there who just came on my channel to rip me a new one. If you're older, you know, a grown-ass adult, and you're on the same wavelength as some of these fetuses, only a 2-day-old fetus would believe this shit. But even with all this evidence and data, the little fetuses need to rush to their defense. Hey, I'm no fucking fetus, Qual. You ain't.
Okay, I just have to add that in because it's really strange how much he says fetuses. It's kind of creepy and weird. He is very strange. Also, I don't think he even knows what a fetus actually is, but I'm not surprised because he never takes the time to research or educate himself, so no surprise there.
I guess Nick Cannon, you know, the whitest black guy ever, decided
The whitest black guy ever. Interesting.
to get a little froggy, spouting some anti-Semitic garbage and hatred towards the white devil, the spawn of Satan. Now, some of you might be dum-dums out there, so I'll make this crystal clear. With a new segment on my channel I like to call Racism for Mouth-Breathing Dummies. So, the definition of racism literally states the belief that different races possess distinct characteristics, abilities, or qualities, especially as to distinguish them, as if this applies to anybody of any race. So believe it or not, you can be racist towards white people.
But black people are not in a position of power. Only people in power can be racist, and those are whites.
There's plenty of people in other countries where whites have zero power, because it's ran by the main race that lives there. You don't see the white man in a palace in Iran, do you? No. Plus there's
The whitest black guy ever. And imagine a white guy telling Nick Cannon, who's a black man, and all the people of color in the world, a white man educating them all on what racism is. Wow, thanks, Apoc. We all needed that lesson. Also, going by Apoc's definition and logic, why was he calling my husband a racist again? What has my husband done to show that he's more like superior to all other races? Please tell me what I have done or said to show that I feel superior to all other races, because nothing he showed says that. So again, he's a walking contradiction, a liar, and a hypocrite. And gross.
There's plenty of people in power in America today that are not white. So to say only whites can be racist is probably one of the dumbest things I've ever heard anyone try to argue with. It doesn't matter who you are or where you're from, what position you're in, or what race. Hate can exist within anyone, within any of us. The entire human race is fucked up, man. And Nick Cannon is the prime example of what racism looks like today in America.
A black man advocating for his community is the epitome of what racism looks like in America, you guys. I swear, I cannot believe he said this crap. He's never retracted any of this either. It's still all on his channel. He's never said that his thought process has changed or the way he thinks has changed. Like, it's outrageous to me that he had the balls to make that video about me. I really think he is so arrogant that he thought I was just going to go run away in shame and, you know, just start debunking everything he said. No, I don't play that shit. I went to go back and look on his channel and to see what Apoc's all about. And all the stuff in this video is pretty damning. I will link the videos down below that all these clips are from, just so you guys can get full context, because I'm not taking anything out of context. The whole rest of the video, he keeps calling Nick Cannon racist, anti-Semitic, when what Nick Cannon was trying to say is his people, the people of color, have compassion for each other because of what they went through. And Nick Cannon took that as he's racist against everybody. Apoc literally needs to educate himself. He is so ignorant on so many things.
About this autistic child known as Cardi B. And yes, before you say it,
this autistic child, Cardi B, is that supposed to be some sort of diss? I personally take offense to that one because I have a 4-year-old who is autistic. And what are you trying to say, Apoc? You think she's stupid or what? So saying she's autistic as a diss, that's what you're gonna do?
The only reason I'm shit posting about her is because she's black. Yeah, it has nothing to do with how clueless she is. It's about basically everything. So, just in case you missed it, Candace Owens decided to use Cardi B as a punching bag on Twitter. It all stemmed from a clip from an interview she had with Ben Shapiro, where both criticized Cardi B for not staying in her lane and talking about politics, or as she would say, politics.
I love politics.
Yeah, maybe.
Again, I wanted to show the rest of that clip because he called her an autistic child because he thinks she's clueless and stupid and dumb and doesn't know anything. So it's really disgusting to use autistic child as a diss. Saying like, what, are autistic kids stupid and dumb, Apoc? You're disgusting. He can have an opinion on Cardi B, whatever, and that's fine, but he doesn't have to resort to low blows like calling her an autistic child or anything. And again, the pattern here is all of these videos are him mocking, humiliating, and making fun of people and trashing people for the way they advocate for their communities. He literally is dragging all of these marginalized groups because he feels like he's the poor white victim. Everything is, I'm the poor white man. All these people are attacking the white man. That is when he talks about all of this stuff. This last one I'm gonna show you is him mocking and dragging a black woman on TikTok named On Karen. Her entire TikTok is calling out racism and showing people where there's racism when they might not have even seen it. A lot of people hate her and another account called Modern Warrior because they call out racism that people do not want to hear. And Apoc decided to do commentary on her. And this is just another example of him dismissing and invalidating a black woman's feelings. And it's a pattern here. He dismisses all of these marginalized people for how they feel. And it's a very complex story with this Aunt Karen woman. If I can find more TikToks about it, I will link them below. But it doesn't matter what the story is about. It matters that Apoc is always using these hot topics and situations to play the poor white guy, claim everyone is crying and outraging and faking transphobia and homophobia and racism, and using that to dismiss and humiliate and mock all of these marginalized people because he feels like the poor white man that's a victim. He doesn't have privilege and he's always getting attacked. You're not a victim, dude. You did not face any of the same discrimination that these other groups have. And you have no place to talk about women's issues. You have no place to talk about Black issues. You have no place to talk about trans issues. He has no place to talk about LGBTQ issues. He has no place to talk about how these people advocate for their community. And that is why he's a freaking hypocrite. Having all this stuff on his channel, seeing the way he really thinks about social issues, you know, freedom of speech. He's against hate, saying things are hate speech. And he's on here using my husband against me because he has a personal vendetta, not because he's actually outraged. He's using racism as a weapon to come after me. And it's gross.
And accuse me of some very serious things. Put your trust in me.
Well, if it ain't the consequences of my own actions. You know, it's funny to me because there's people in his comments and in mine that are like, oh, you're coming after a kid now. You mean I'm talking about an experience that a person put me in? Oh, yeah. Then yeah, sure, if that's how you want to see it. You know, it's funny, everyone's a kid until they get put in their place.
You know, I just find it quite odd for a creator whose entire existence on this app is to apparently point out racism and where it's at, but decides to ignore an example of racism and just let it slide under the rug, and is only mentioning it now, when her friend Mountain Warrior was losing a debate to a kid, which honestly really isn't even hard to do. He refutes nothing when pressed, and just uses the claims of racism, white supremacy, and privilege to opt himself out of the corner he put himself in. Because
I looked into this woman and I was talking to somebody else who looked into Modern Warrior and this Aunt Karen woman. And the reason why people don't like them is because they are pretty blunt and outspoken when it comes to pointing out racism that people might not even see or know is racism. And who is Apoc? Who is Apoc? Again, a white man to tell this Black woman when and how and at what point she needs to call out racism. And the way he dismissed her TikTok and what she does on there, he's invalidated. Oh, apparently her whole existence is to call out racism. Do you see how condescending and rude he is? She can call it out whenever she wants and however she wants because she's Black. That is her right, Apoc. And he seems to take it very personally and has a huge problem with people pointing out racism, homophobia, and transphobia. And I think that says a lot and is pretty concerning, don't you think?
Because he's so bad at what he does, at least when it comes to debating. Now, as for Karen getting bullied and berated, that's absolutely horrible. That should not have happened. But she didn't actually prove that the kid did any of those things, especially her claims that he said the N-word. All she did was state, I am the proof, and show some screenshots that only proved that she was getting bullied, which that and the racial slurs came from other people of color, which is very interesting because Karen's belief is that people of color cannot be racist. So if other POCs are calling you those slurs or even saying the N-word, does racism still apply? Because by her mentality, it wouldn't. Those would just be words. They would be mean words, but they would just be that, words.
No. You did an adult crime, you're going to get charged the adult time.
I mean, I get where she's coming from. It's called equality. But talking down to someone isn't an adult game. It's just an ignorant one and actually quite childish, which a lot of these creators, even on both sides, are.
That was part one, and I was looking for part two and saw in the comments, oh, he got flagged and banned for a while because part two was so bad. And he thinks it's funny for bullying a Black woman. He got banned for that, and that's hilarious. He also doesn't care how she feels. If she feels she's being discriminated against from him, it doesn't matter what she feels. And the comments calling her a cornered animal that he was liking were gross too. The comments were just nasty and unnecessary, and it just shows how gross Apoc is. To say that this whole thing was an elaborate hoax to fake a hate crime is just too much, in my opinion. He could have just said it was a misunderstanding. Like, it seems like he's looking for a reason to go after these certain people. And I just want to put another disclaimer out there. I am not saying that Apoc is horrible and that he needs to be canceled. I'm just showing the hypocrisies. If he wants to believe these things and be anti-woke and all that, that's perfectly fine. Some of it I definitely don't agree with, but that is his opinion. But what he's not going to do is try to cancel me through my husband when he has these beliefs.
You apologized to me right away when I sent that message because you knew exactly how bad it looked.
So how do we know that Karen didn't take this opportunity to try to make this kid look bad by twisting things? She said she had proof, but didn't show it. She apparently swept this racism under the rug for however long, but now is an open book about it. When Modern Warrior was getting beat, things looking bad and actual proof are two very different things here. Yes, he should have apologized way back when for putting you in that group, but you mistake him for an adult. Just because you're treating him like one doesn't automatically make him an adult. He's still a kid and has the mind of a kid, and this is not an excuse or a justification. He should not have brought you in.
He goes on to do more TikToks about her, says she's faking racism. It's pretty gross to accuse this black woman who advocates for her community and racism to say that she's faking racism because she didn't come out with something when Apoc, a white man, felt that she should do that. I also want to point out that in all of these situations, and this is just a few videos, you guys, every situation, it's really convenient that he always is against the marginalized person. He is always against the trans person, the black person. In these situations, he is always against them, mocking them, humiliating them, calling them stupid, saying they don't know how to advocate right for their community. They're just dramatic. They're wrong. And he is always the poor, white, privileged victim. He doesn't actually care about these important social issues that need to be discussed. It's pretty obvious the only time he does want to discuss these things is when he can play victim and say, oh, the poor white man is being attacked and called racist. He called all of these people racist. He's trying to educate all of these marginalized people on what racism is, a white man. And let me also add the fact that he is against all of these people speaking on racism. He is against these people of color speaking on racism, but him as a white man can weaponize racism to come at me over my husband. So a white man can speak on racism when he wants to and educate everybody on racism when he feels like it. But the actual people of color are stupid and dramatic and woke for speaking on racism in their community. If you have to keep telling everybody, it's not about you being transgender. It's not about you being black. It's not about you being a person of color. It's not about you being gay. If you have to keep telling everybody that says it all, doesn't it? You shouldn't have to keep saying that, because if you are doing your commentary correctly, nobody is going to think that you are transphobic or racist or anything like that. So, like I said, I am showing you the mind of Apoc and how hypocritical he is to come at me, okay? Not even coming at me for things that I have done, coming at me for things my husband has done, because he doesn't have anything on me. I have owned and talked about every single thing that I have done on the internet, and he will not accept my challenge to just talk about me within the last year and not bring up my husband. Why is that? It's pretty clear where Apoc stands on these important social issues, where everybody is a social justice warrior, everybody is woke, he's clearly anti-woke, he doesn't want to be called racist, he's not a white privileged man, he's a white not privileged victim, apparently. And you know what, does Apoc have to think the way I do? Absolutely not. Am I calling him racist or any of these things? I'm absolutely not calling him those things. But what he's not going to do is say I'm those things, say my husband is those things, pretend to be a social justice warrior and virtue signal to his audience to create outrage when clearly he is anti-woke and anti-social justice warrior. I don't even know if anybody knows about these videos because the people in his comments should be real embarrassed right now. Everyone who supports him and backs him and just allows him to bash me, creators and subscribers, should really be embarrassed right now and really rethink what they are saying and doing because they're absolutely wrong in backing Apoc. If they want to, go ahead. I don't want any support. I don't want his subscribers at all. This is not for his subscribers. This is not for anybody but my community to show who Apoc really is and kind of explain why I have such a problem with him. And this is only part 1, guys. Part 2 is going to be talking about a woman's infertility. Making 25 videos about a woman's infertility and miscarriages is disgusting. And that will be a whole video in itself. Now, real quick, I want to get into Apoc's wife. I never brought up his wife and was not going to bring her into this, but she decided to insert herself when she wanted to talk about my husband's alcoholism and think she knew it all. Her and Apoc are some of the most ignorant, uneducated people that I have come across in a long time. She wants to take accountability for my husband, yet she literally sits in the background of his videos when he is saying this nasty stuff about other women. If I were her, I would be concerned that my husband is so obsessed with other women on the internet. And you know what else is interesting? Based on his past content, it doesn't seem like he watched many mommy vloggers or family vloggers. My theory, allegedly, is that Apoc found out about all these mommy vloggers through his wife. And it's pretty obvious that he talks about all the vloggers she hates. So I think it's safe to say that he talks about and goes after. In my opinion, she uses her husband to degrade and go after the moms that she doesn't like. I have never seen another woman so bitter and hateful towards other moms on the internet. It's really concerning. So everybody, based on Apoc's logic, should his wife take accountability for all of Apoc's nasty content on his channel? Well, if I was like Apoc, I would be demanding and blaming his wife for his bad behavior, but I'm not because she's not responsible. She's not responsible for his bad behavior, and I'm sure Apoc would not want his wife getting attacked for the nasty stuff that he says. Would you, Apoc? So, I don't think Apoc's wife is going to be taking any accountability for her husband anytime soon. So she needs to sit the hell down and mind her damn business. Let me know what you guys think down below. This is only part 1. I do have other videos coming out about other topics after this one, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.